Mission land, sailing, sailing, mission boat. It takes the teacher to the children there, sailing missionary boat. So this Sabbath, we will be learning about our friend Bilda, who lives in Finland. And she will be teaching us a story, the lesson of prayer. And we are here in Europe, and this is the flag of Finland and the picture of her friend there again. Well, Bilda lives in a boarding academy, and she lived in Africa. Bilda lived in Africa, and in Africa, she lived, we're going to say that this little girl is Bilda here. She lived there with her siblings, her two brothers, her little sister, and her mom and her dad. That was her family. One day, her mom called her at the boarding academy and told her, Bilda, I will be going to Finland to study to become a nurse, because it was better for the whole family for her to go and become a nurse. So the mother left to go to Finland. So she went off and she went to Finland. 5 years passed, 5 long years, and Bilda missed her mom so much, but they kept communicating with each other. They were talking to each other. But finally, after 5 years, Bilda's mom applied for visas for her whole family, and they were all able to join her in Finland. So the family packed up their things to move to Finland. And so they all went to Finland. And they were all happy to be reunited together. Now, during the time that Bilda's mom was in Finland, she had learned some very important lessons. She had started to read her Bible, because before she left Africa, she had asked God to help her find the truth. And while she was reading the Bible, she found out that the true day of the Lord that she had to keep was the Sabbath Saturday, not Sunday. This was a big change for the family, because they had all gone, they were accustomed to attending church on Sundays. So this was a big change, but they all read the Bible together and found out the truth. And so they were able to find a Seventh-day Adventist church, and they all went to church. They were learning new things. Well, a year after they were living in Finland, Bilda's dad became very ill, so ill that he had to be hospitalized, and he was in a state of a coma. He was asleep. He didn't know anything around him. So Bilda prayed. She asked the Lord to help heal her dad, and she claimed the promise in Jeremiah 32:27 that says, Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? And so Bilda prayed this, and she said, Lord, I know that it is not too hard for you to heal my father. And so her father was healed. And after that, they all were baptized. Bilda, her father, and her siblings were all baptized. And now Bilda prays not only in times of emergencies, but she also prays in times when they're having good health, and then when they're happy. She has learned to pray all the time to the Lord, and she's thankful to the Lord for all the blessings that He has bestowed upon her and her family. Our Bible lesson for this week is titled The Woman at the Well, and our memory verse is Tell how much God has done for you, and that's in Luke 8:39. We will be learning about this woman who told everyone about what God has done for her. So it was midday, and Jesus sat by the well. He had no way to get some water out. He was hungry and he was thirsty. The disciples, his friends, had gone out to look for some food, but Jesus stayed behind. It was afternoon time, midday, the hottest part of the day. People normally would not go and get water at the well. They would either go in the morning or late when the sun was going down. But there was a woman, a Samaritan woman. We called her the Samaritan woman because she was from Samaria. And you know, during those days, since Jesus was a Jew and she was a Samaritan, they would not speak to each other. Samaritans and Jews did not speak to each other. So knowing this, Jesus spoke to her and asked her, "Could you please give me some water?" And the Samaritan woman was surprised that Jesus was talking to her. And she said, "You are a Jew. Why are you talking to me?" And you know, Jesus doesn't care about where a person is from, or he doesn't care about the color of the skin. He doesn't care about things like that. He loves everyone. And you know, not many people love this woman, but God loved this woman and everyone in the world. And so Jesus shared with her that he was the Messiah, and she was waiting for the Messiah. And when she heard the good news, she was so happy, she even forgot to give Jesus some water. And she was so happy that she ran and she wanted to tell everyone about the good news that she had met the Messiah. She wanted to tell everyone about what God had done for her. And she was excited. She had a brightness in her heart that she wanted to share with everyone. It was noontime, one of the hardest part of the day. Jesus was very hungry and thirsty, and the disciples were also. So they went to look for food. And Jesus decided to stay by the well, which is called Jacob's well, while the disciples went to look for food. During this time of the day, people would normally not come to the well and get water because it was such a hot part of the day. There was one woman, however, it's called the Samaritan woman. She came in that part of the day when no one came because, you know, a lot of people did not like her. And so she wanted to avoid people. But Jesus knew everything about her. And you know, during those days, because Jesus was a Jew and she was from Samaria, she was Samaritan, they didn't speak to each other during those days. So the Jews and the Samaritans didn't speak to each other. But Jesus didn't care about that because he loves everyone regardless of where they're from, what color their skin is. God does not care about those things. So Jesus started to speak to her and asked her, "Would you please give me some water?" And she was surprised because he was talking to her. And she said, "Why are you talking to me? I'm a Samaritan and you're a Jew. We don't talk to each other." But Jesus shared his love, and he also shared with her that he was the Messiah that the Samaritans awaited. And she was so happy that she even forgot to give Jesus a drink. And she wanted to share this good news with everyone whom she came across with. So she ran to her hometown and she shared with every single person that would hear her about the good news that the Messiah had come, that she had met him. So she decided to share with everyone, and everyone followed her. They believed her, and they went with her to meet Jesus, to meet the Son of God, the Messiah, the Savior of the world, because they believed her, and they too wanted to meet Jesus. And you know, they begged Jesus to stay with them, and so Jesus stayed with them for a few days. And they were so happy. They received Jesus with open hearts, and they believed the Samaritan woman. That's why they came to see Jesus. You know, the Samaritan woman's story teaches us very important lessons. One of them is that we should not care about where a person is from, what their background is. We should love everyone. Another important lesson, parents and teachers, is that we should not forget the influence that we can have over one person, because we don't know all of the people that one person may bring to the feet of Jesus. So we have to remember the importance of teaching. If it's just one, let's do it wholeheartedly, and let's thank God for the lessons that he teaches us in the Bible.